Hey guys, Time Itself here, and I want to talk about the March 12th patch. Among the many notes in there was a change to the Domination spawns. Specifically, they say they reduced the weight of the positive team spawn influence on own Domination flags. Essentially, you're less likely to spawn next to your own flags. Spawns are a tricky thing, but they are very, very important to Domination, so I've been going through trying to figure out exactly how significant these changes are. So let me go ahead and show you some examples. First up, on Carrier here. We've got C up in the top right, A down in the lower left, and the helicopter next to the flap where the snipers like to hang out is in the top left there. Now watch what happens. My team grabs C and then makes an awesome push, all of us push towards B and take it from the enemy. But then we set up to hold them at A, but because we don't have anyone back by the helicopter and the flap, the enemies get to spawn back there. And suddenly they're behind us, and well, it turns into something of a mess. And we weren't really pushed in on A at all. We were all clustered around B. But because no one was back there, they get to spawn there. Yeah, that's what this patch has done. Here's another example. Same game, it's exactly the same thing. We're all pushed up around B, and they get to spawn back behind the helicopter. Yeah, someone needs to be sitting back there on this map in order to keep them from spawning back there. Now here's what I mean. Here's the exact same thing except in reverse. We're stuck at A this time. We've got people all the way up at B, but we're still spawning back down under A and having a hard time running out all the way to B because they have people sitting up by the helicopter and the flap. It gets fairly nasty. In fact, they can push all the way in. We'll still be spawning right underneath them at A, but we don't get any kind of beneficial spawn flip going on to get us out of that trap. So, yeah, I don't know how to put this. On this map, you need someone up there to keep the enemies spawning at A. Alright, that was Carrier. A little different, a bit easier to bump the spawn, I'd say. Otherwise, fairly similar. Let's go ahead and look at Turbine. We've got C on the left there, A on the right. Teams bunched up around B, kind of pushing in towards A, getting a little aggressive, and someone pushes in, and we cause a spawn flip, as we should in that case. But watch what happens next. As we set up to start defending the C to B push, one of them spawns back at A again. So they're spawning on either sides of the map. It's very confusing, really weird, and it's kind of this partial spawn flip thing, and it's no fun to try to deal with, because it feels like enemies are coming from both sides of you when you're in the middle of the map. But here's a different kind of, I guess, partial spawn flip, where it doesn't flip them all the way over to A. We got them on C, and we push in, again, a little bit too far, but instead of spawning back at A, they spawn up next to B along that cliff that I pointed out in my epic Domination video was a very key point on this map. Now, once we finally get in there, wipe them off the cliff, clear them off of B, get them spawning back at C, we don't get to spawn up at B. Instead, we're still spawning down by A. I would kind of like to spawn up by B, as I noted that cliff is very useful in defending B. And you'll see as the second half starts this game, the exact same thing happens again. We push in too far onto C, they get to spawn up by B, we clear them off, but then we're still spawning down by A. I don't know, I don't really like this, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd rather have the full spawn flip and just trade sides of the map, and then be a race back to B to see who can defend it. I guess that's what they mean when they say changed how the flag's weight spawns. It won't spawn them right next to your flag, at least your home flag, where A or C, but it seems to be happy spawning them between A and B, or B and C, and off to the side of the map. Kinda weird. I don't know what to think. Right now, it seems to just make for one heck of a clusterfuck. So here's Hijacked. A up on the top, B in the middle, C on the bottom. Right off the start, we push in, they have one guy go underneath, and as we're pushing off towards C a little bit too hard, their guy going underneath, suddenly they start spawning between A and B. And instead of us spawning between A and B, instead we get to spawn back way in the back of the map behind A, and then rush forward. And the enemies who were at C is left wondering what the heck just happened. We've pushed forward, reestablish our line of defending B from the C push, and then pretty much just do it again. Now for a while, we will spawn near B. As long as we can keep them on their side of B, it seems like we'll spawn up next close to it, and have a fairly easy time defending it. But, you know, if one of them pushes up towards B, or for some reason we push in a little bit too far, instead of spawning all the way back behind A, the top of your screen there, instead they spawn between A and B. It's kind of weird. And like I said, I don't know what to make of it entirely. And finally we have Raid. This is something of an unplayable mess now. Let's look at why. We got C in the garage up at the top, A and the kitchen down on the bottom. And, you know, we're playing along fairly normally now. Everybody's making the B push, trying to control the courtyard, and then all of a sudden someone spawns basketball court, bottom left. No idea why, but they figure, oh, better go take A. And that results in the enemy suddenly spawning over by the bedroom in the top left. And it's just one person each time, just randomly spawns out on their own. I guess it's safer, there's no enemies around, but there are also no teammates around, and it's not near their team's flags either. It's very odd. Things get back to normal for a moment, the enemies get to spawn at the basketball court because they control A, and we get to spawn back at C, but suddenly, no, we're spawning basketball court again. Why? I don't know, just one person, and then a couple seconds later, a second person. Where the enemy's going to spawn? We don't know. Why not? And things just turn into a mess. And eventually the game does something weird and spawns two people on opposite corners of the map. Watch here, lower left, top right, and here it goes, there. Yeah, enemies just on either opposite corners of the map. They control B, we control A and C because the spawns had set us up for that, but suddenly, you know, who knows what's going on. Lower right, spawn there, don't know why. Basketball court, spawn there, don't know why. Top left is C, top right is C. Let's, you know, control C, that would make some sense. Let's spawn some people over there. But the enemies have B, let's spawn some people up above B. And below it, you know, just wherever. And the bedroom. It's jumping everywhere. It doesn't make any sense. We're losing A and B. Hopefully we spawn somewhere where we can stop that because they sure couldn't. Oh wait, that's right, we're spawning in between A and B. That's fantastic. But what else is going to happen here? I can't even keep up with it. You can follow it on the screen. Yeah, I'm playing it about 2 times fast, but it makes no sense at all. And when you're standing in the game and you know you only got the little map around you, you can see where your teammates are and you can see the flags. You have no hope of predicting where your teammates or the enemies are going to be spawning. I mean, looking at the overhead, I can take a good guess, but who knows? It depends on map. Raid is an especially bad example. Here's another one. Started out in the second half. We're pushing to B, we kill a couple enemies, and then we spawn between B and C before we've even taken B. I think what they've tried to do is interesting, but in the end it results in just a horrible mess because their spawns just aren't sticky at all. Finally, because I'm sure you're curious, what happens if you try to triple cap? Can you hold them down at the pool on Raid now? And well, here we go. We're going to cap all 3 flags. Every one of us is going to be up on the higher part of the map towards the right there. All the enemies are going to be down towards the pool, and we can't hold this triple cap. They start spawning out of it, and yeah, up above B there. So, I don't know if using more equipment to block off spawn points is going to be a thing, but, well, it's quite the mess right now. Well, I hope I've answered some of your questions about what they changed in the patch and how the Domination spawns are playing out now. I really do not appreciate it. This seems almost as bad as Black Ops 1, but hey, that's what we've got now. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.